Welcome back to the class, everyone. Today we're going to be talking about something that is really important. It is honestly very new. While it's been in the game since day one, it hasn't been relevant until now. And that is going to be the difference between physical and special damage. As you can all see on the screen in front of me, or rather below me, our next set of Datacrons is not going to just give flat or percent offense like every other single mechanic in the game that will kind of equally affect every single character. No. What it's going to be doing is it's going to be giving physical and special damage. So basically what this means for us is we need to understand which characters are doing physical damage and which characters are doing special damage, or rather, which teams are doing that. Because you can't pick and choose a Datacron per character, it has to be per team. So the whole point of this video today, or the whole point of this video was going to be to make a list of all the physical damaging attacking teams and all the special damaging attacking teams, and maybe a mix of the two. But when I started to dig into this, there are so few special attackers. It is very, very few and far between. That being said, it's honestly easier to just make a small list of all the characters, rather all the teams that are going to want the special damage Datacron, and then just assume every other single character is going to be wanting your physical damage. So that's the point of this video today. There are very few. Basically what this means is if you get a Datacron, or several Datacrons, and you're looking at them and you're like, okay, these abilities don't really matter, which teams should be getting the ones that are doing better in physical damage, and which ones are the ones that should be doing in special damage. So that being said, let's go ahead and get right to the characters themselves. And like I said, the list is pretty darn short. First and foremost, we are going to be looking at our Jedi Knight Revan team. I don't know why, but a lot of these are KOTOR? I have no idea why that's a thing. But anyways, so this first team that we're going to be looking at is, like I said, this is the Jedi Knight Revan team. Jedi Knight Revan, Grandmaster Yoda, and Bastila Shan are all special damage attackers, or rather just special damage units. Jolee and Old Ben, they actually do physical damage, but typically when you build a Jedi, or at least this old OG Jedi team, these two are not doing the damage. And I mean, of course, you can sub them out for other characters and whatnot, but typically when you're putting Grandmaster and Jedi Knight Revan on a team, especially Jedi Knight Revan lead, you're anticipating that the damage is mostly going to be here. So between the three of them, you want to try to hone in on special damage as much as possible. And I should have probably explained this a little bit better in the intro, but it says it right here. On all of Yoda's attacks, he does special damage. He does special damage. He does special damage. So when you're, again, going to putting that Datacron on this team, if it has just a bunch of physical damage, that is not going to do anything at all for him, for Jedi Knight Revan, or even for Jolee. Actually will help if you're wanting to do that, or for Bastila Shan. So if you have a Datacron, again, that does highly special damage, this team is the one for you. You can actually even morph this into kind of a weird JML team as well, because JML is also special damage character. The reason why I didn't start with that as a hard team is just because JML's damage all comes from his protection in the first place. You're not really banking on the actual attacks themselves to do things. Next team up is going to be Traya Sith. This team is pretty straightforward. It's a similar concept as the last one. The only special attackers here are actually Traya herself and Nihilus. This one probably isn't as big of a deal as the Jedi Knight Revan team, because, as everyone knows, Nihilus has an Annihilate. And the other thing that does go along with this is it is not uncommon to have other damage dealers in the spots of these characters here, say Talon or Sith Marauder or something of the sort. So it is something you can do. It is something you can benefit from. The team will definitely benefit more from special damage than it will from physical damage, I can tell you that much. But pretty much you're just putting it on there so that Traya, once she does get her big hit around, it is going to hit really, really, really hard. Another mention, I guess, similar to how we mentioned Jedi Master Luke here, and a notable mention is also C is a special damage dealer. I kind of left him out of this just because his damage isn't relevant in almost any fight in the entire game, except maybe versus the Bastila JML, so I guess that's a notable mention. Next team up is going to be the JTR team. So you don't have to have a Haldo in here, that's not necessary. But both Resistance Hero Poe and Finn are special damage dealers. So if you're trying to get the most bang for your buck again with your Datacrons, they are two really, really great options. JTR is a physical damage dealer, but she's more or less the tank in this team, and then BB-8 barely attacks as it is. That being said, this one, similar to the Traya team, isn't as important as maybe, say, the Jedi Knight Revan or some of the other teams we're going to look at, because most of J tier's damage, if not all of it, is done through max health damage. It's done through exposes, and it's also done via pose unique. Once he's expired, they start to do 10% of the target's max health. So, again, if you're trying to decide, the level Datacrons are the same between the two that you want to slap on this team, but one has special damage, one has physical damage. Special damage is going to be the one for that team. Next up is going to be a Empire team that doesn't have Starkiller. So I know this is irrelevant for a lot of people. It's honestly kind of irrelevant for me as I have Starkiller. But this entire Empire team, if I'm not mistaken, I don't think Royal Guard does, but Thrawn, Mara Jade, Palp, and Grand Moff Tarkin, all four of them are special damage dealers, which is pretty rare. Like I said, special damage, I think they only make up 1/5 of the game. And then out of 1/5, which of those characters are actually relevant? Like, we're not going to be talking about Jedi Consular Ugnaught. Fun fact, they're special damage dealers in this video. But how many of them are actually relevant to be able to be on the team? And this team actually functions really well with these set of characters. Like I said, I won't be using it, but for anyone who's still working on building up Mara Jade, maybe doesn't have all the other characters ready for Starkiller yet, this is something that you can use and you can benefit from. Especially with the turn meter one coming in, that team might be really nasty to have the 25% turn meter for dark side characters, and then on top of it, have them dealing extra damage, so that they don't even really need to have a true damage dealer like maybe Darth Vader. Next up is actually going to be Darth Revan himself. Like I said, there were a lot of KOTOR teams in here. I don't know if that was intentional by CG or when they were knocking all these teams out together that just kind of happened, but yeah. The Darth Revan team also is primarily special damage dealing. Darth Revan himself, Basilisk Fallen being the two key units. Darth Malik's damage mostly comes from his life drain. He does deal a little bit of damage once he gets to his other stacks, but that's typically not what you rely on. Sith Empire Turbo the tank. And then this is where it does get kind of awkward because Marauder is a physical damage dealer. So you want typically special damage here, but at the same time, if you have to go physical, you're going to have Marauder. So it's a little bit of a win-win situation or a lose-lose situation, depending on how optimistic or pessimistic you are. But it's something that they can benefit from. Again, it's another team that is able to be able to take that special damage on top of what you're already giving them. Specifically, again, for Darth Revan and Basilisk Fallen, who, once they have a ton of ferocity, are going to be dealing a fair amount of damage. And last but not least is going to be the Night Sisters. And this one, again, is pretty cool. Mother Talzin, Talia, and Asajj Ventress, all special damage dealers. So your two primary characters that are always going to be dealing damage is going to be Asajj Ventress as well as Mother Talzin and their special damage. So they benefit greatly again from this type of Datacron over physical damage because, you know, Daka, Talia, and Zombie are not going to be your main damage dealers. And even Spirit is kind of falling out of favor as of recently because Talia is their only cleanse, and without that, so many teams just instantly end them. Even the teams that they're kind of made to beat, like the General Grievous Droids team, because once IG gets target lock out there, it becomes very, very difficult if you have no way to cleanse it off. And that, especially with the Asajj's Omicron that's currently out, if you have that as well, you don't need Spirit's damage. You might as well just bank on using between the Omicron, the Datacron, and your modding. But that, guys, that's really is all the special damage teams that I could come up with. And this isn't me trying to brag about my knowledge or anything like that, but this is pretty much where the line ends. Like, if you want to come up with another team, if you want to look through the list, be my guest. But at the end of the day, the vast majority of characters in game are physical damage dealers. I guess the only other character that I can even remotely mention right now is actually Fennec. And the reason why I didn't put her on the list is because no other bounty hunter deals special damage. She is the only bounty hunter that'll do it. The closest thing she can get to it is Queel. Queel also is a special damage dealer. That being said, it can actually be really good because quite a bit of the times that you're going to use Fennec in a bounty hunter team, she is the sole damage dealer. Sure, Mando will get Annihilate off her on Royal Guard or whoever in the very beginning, but sometimes she's the one who really needs to punch through the big targets like Lord Vader. So like I said, those 6 teams, and then honorable mentions could definitely be Jedi Master Luke, Sith Emperor, as well as Fennec. So Hope you guys found this helpful. If you did really find it helpful, please do share with your guild, because these Datacrons are going to be active in Territory Wars as well as GAC. So thank you guys for watching. Remember to like and subscribe, and as always, stay awesome.